Okay, picture this. You're listening to the ultimate late-night R&B band, a group called Midnight Pocket. If you're a fan of, really sophisticated soul, that smooth jazz funk, and cinematic urban storytelling, well, you are in for a treat. Today's explainer is a deep dive into an absolutely fascinating, intricate musical world that you definitely won't want to miss.
So, what actually makes a band truly timeless? I mean, for Midnight Pocket, it all comes down to a groove that just feels lived in. It's human, it's rooted in real, authentic emotion. You're not going to hear any of that sterile, manufactured pop perfection here, right? Instead, it's all about the undeniable chemistry of seasoned musicians who totally prioritize the warmth of a live band. Their ultimate goal wasn't just chasing nostalgia, they were after true timelessness. And this relentless quest for timelessness, it's exactly why critics absolutely raved about their debut concept album, After Hours. Music journalist Mara Ellis actually hit the nail on the head here. She noted that the band didn't just lazily stack 10 vaguely related tracks together. No, they built this incredibly cohesive narrative with total restraint, creating real, palpable human stakes that unfold over the course of a single night out. I mean, their aesthetic perfectly captures that smoky, late-night atmosphere, doesn't it? We've got the deep night blues, the reflective wet pavement, those warm amber street lamps, and of course the sharply tailored silhouettes of the band members. The whole shebang literally screams 1 a.m. It's sleek, it's stylish, it's authentic, and it is completely immersive. Okay, but here is the massive, mind-bending twist that you need to know before we go any further. This entire band, their massive hit album, those striking visuals, and even that glowing review we were just talking about, it is a 100% fictional universe. Yeah, no way, right? Spoiler alert, you literally cannot buy tickets to their next show because Midnight Pocket does not actually exist. Right, so instead, this entire world is basically a masterclass in conceptual art and world building by a real-world creator known as the Shadow 007. He didn't just write a handful of songs. The guy literally built an entire mythos from scratch. So in the universe of the story, the Shadow 007 discovers the band in some tiny club, signs them and mentors them. But in our reality, he is the sole architect pulling all the strings, bringing these characters, their deep backstories, and their wildly detailed musical philosophies to life. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Anatomy of the Pocket. Let's peel back the layers a bit and look at how these 6 characters were meticulously put together. Every single fictional member was given a very specific backstory, mostly so no one steps on anyone else's toes musically. You've got Julian Kane's guarded tenor, which is perfectly balanced by Ariel Monroe's fierce emotional counterweight. And then right underneath them, Marcus and Nico act as this telepathic heartbeat on bass and drums, while Darius King and Simone Vale shape the whole harmonic architecture on guitar and keys. It's just a perfectly balanced musical ecosystem. Now, the defining ethos of this group really revolves around this exact musical concept: human restraint. It's about choosing space over spectacle. In Midnight Pocket's world, the pocket isn't just a rhythm, it's trust. It's knowing exactly what your bandmates are going to do and realizing that sometimes the notes you don't play are the ones the audience actually remembers. They totally rejected that click-track mentality just to ensure the music always has breath, movement, and a real lived-in soul. Moving right along to Section 2, the After Hours story. So let's see how this whole ethos builds into their 10-track concept album, After Hours. Instead of just throwing together some random tracks, the album actually acts as a cinematic text. It chronologically maps the emotional beats of 2 strangers on a night out. It kicks off at midnight with the invitation of the city, moves right into attraction by 1 a.m., builds up this intense heat by 2, and finally peaks with this amazing communal dance floor freedom at 3 a.m. It is literally the soundtrack of an escalating night. But, as the night gets later and the dance floor inevitably empties out, the narrative strips away all that bravado. By 4 a.m., the sequence shifts to this really quiet vulnerability where the characters have to decide if this connection actually means something. And the album doesn't end with a tidy little fairy tale. Instead, you get the raw, ambiguous possibility of 6 a.m., stepping out into the daylight together, leaving us to wonder, hey, will this connection actually survive the sunrise? Next up, Section 3, Julian and Ariel. At the absolute core of this universe's emotional stakes are the 2 lead vocalists. And their dynamic is incredible because it allows the band to seamlessly flip between 2 totally distinct modes. First, you have the Velvet Pocket,
This is smooth, it's intimate. Think really conversational lyrics gliding over a slow, unhurried groove. But then, they can just effortlessly flip the switch into the fire pocket. This is where the energy absolutely explodes. The vocals turn into this massive call and response, and the music just demands that you get up and move. Now, according to the lore, Ariel isn't just some backup singer. She was specifically designed to challenge Julian as a true equal. In fact, in the band's fictional history, she actually gets into a huge argument with him over an overproduced arrangement during their very first rehearsal. And that friction, right? That refusal to just be a sidekick, that is exactly what makes their vocal chemistry so electrifying. It's like they're actively discovering each other through the music.
And finally, Section 4, the Shadow 007 philosophy. To actually pull all of this off, the creator, Shadow 007, stepped in as an in-universe mentor, laying down some very strict real-world rules for the project. He mandated these specific tenets to guarantee that the band always sounded like a lived-in, messy human collective, rather than, a sterile AI-generated pop group. The rules were clear. Groove always comes before spectacle. Tell the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. And absolutely crucial here, leave negative space. Because a technically perfect performance is just completely empty if it lacks real emotion. And this principle guided not just the fictional band's dynamics, but also the real-world artistic decision to prioritize subtle imperfections over technical flawlessness. Inside the story, this was actually advice given to Julian Kane to stop him from micromanaging his bandmates. But outside the story, wow, it is a profound statement on music production. By allowing the bass, the drums, and even the silence itself to literally speak, the creator managed to birth a sound that feels undeniably human.
Shadow 007 also didn't want lyrics that just spoon-fed the meaning to the listener. He taught his fictional band to write around emotional moments. It's all based on the belief that if the listener can feel it before they understand it, then you've written something real. Honestly, the true magic of Midnight Pocket lives in that ambiguity. It's the beautiful mystery of what happens in the total silence between the words.
So ultimately, the absolute genius of the Midnight Pocket universe isn't just in its incredible world building. It's the fact that it uses a completely fake band to ask some very real questions about vulnerability, connection, and the space between our public daytime identities and our private after-hours truths. So the next time you find yourself awake long after the sun goes down, you might want to ask yourself what version of you comes out when the music fades. Thanks so much for joining us on this explainer.